I'd rather be playing in the Orange Bowl than playing in Houston, first of all. I've said that before. I think I'd much rather be in front of our fans and out in front of all their fans with all their pom-poms and what have you. But just the fact that we've got the playoff game here is not any guarantee that we're going to win, and we shouldn't think that. We still have to go out and win, and I'm sure they're coming down here with the attitude that they can win the ball game. So the fact that, you know, there's been so much said about the home field advantage, because that was the only thing riding into the last weekend of the season. We knew who we were going to play, we just didn't know where we were going to play him. That was probably rightfully so, a lot of talk about where you're going to play it, but just the fact that we won the playoff site doesn't mean that we're going to win the ball game. We have to go out and execute and block and tackle and score points and beat them. Well, I think it's easier. You know them better. I know that when we play during the season, the second time we play our divisional rivals, there doesn't seem to be as much work that needs to be done because you know the personnel. You have a good idea what they like to do against you. And since we have played Houston, we do know something about them. We do know how they like to play. We've got a lot of their film. So that's the way playoff games should be. The team should know a lot about each other. They can get all kinds of film on each other. And it should be won on the field.
What type of game do you expect this time? Last time, 65 points were scored. Do you expect the same type game?
It's hard to say. And I was surprised that we scored that many points. I was surprised they scored that many points on us. This time it may be different. Their defense may play better, and certainly our defense is going to play better the way they've been playing. So it's hard to say. You know, you go into a lot of games and you think it's going to be a certain way, or you think you're going to have to score so many points to win, and it didn't turn out that way at all. But it's just hard to say. I hope we score a lot of points and they don't score very many. Coach Shula is a very aware person, and you know, you hear a lot of other teams talk about they have a team meeting and the captains got together and they did this and they talked this over and they talked that over. I think with Coach Shula, he's very aware, first of all, of the entire situation and what's going on, what the attitude is, what the hearsay is, what the rumors are, what needs to be said and brought out in the open. And he is very good at doing that. And I think if anything needs to be said, he has either already said it or it will be said before the week's over with. Certainly a lot of the veterans in their own quiet way will talk to some of the young people.
What about yourself? Do you find doing that this week, or that you might have to do it this week?
Well, there's really not. Cephalo is about the only young guy that I work closely with on the offense. And we talk each week about what we're going to do in certain situations. But as far as the entire squad is, I'm sure some of the older guys will talk to some of the younger guys, especially those who they work very closely with on offense or defense or special teams. But Coach Shula has been very good at that down through the years of saying what needs to be said, and that's why he can prepare a team so well, because he knows what the attitude is and what needs to be done. I think the offense has done a good job most all of the year. I think we've scored a lot of points. I think the defense is playing as best as it has all year. I think there's no question about that. I think earlier in the year there was some question and some people doubting the defense. And we talked earlier, me and some of the other defensive players, and I thought that this was going to be one of our best defensive teams with just the raw talent. And I think it took a little while for them to gel and to find out exactly what they can do best, and maybe some of the things that they don't do so well and that they discarded. So as far as our team being ready and the character of this team going in the playoffs, I think the offense is going strong. I think the defense is certainly playing well. Garrow is on a great field goal streak, so our special teams are playing well, and it means a lot when you gel at the right time. Other teams like Washington won their first 6 games, but the Super Bowl wasn't the 6th or 7th game of the season. It's at the end of the year, so it means a lot to be playing well at the end of the year, and I think we are. My ribs are pretty sore. I haven't done anything this week. I've tried to throw a little bit, and can't throw without a great deal of pain, so I'm not going to practice any and just be ready to play on Sunday.
How does that hurt you in your preparation, or do you feel at this point in time it's really...
Well, I don't think it means that much now. If it was earlier in the season or if it was earlier in my career, I think it would mean something, but playing for as many years as I have, I know how to prepare and I know what it's like. There's been other times that I haven't practiced during the week and have played on Sunday, so I'm not anticipating any problem.
Does it make it difficult in the preparation for this team because of all the injuries? Larry Little with his ankle and knee, Gary Davis, Delvin, yourself. other players are banged up?
It makes a lot of copy during the week, but I think on Sunday everybody will be playing.
I think I've been here as long as anybody and have suffered and cried and just everything seemed to happen to me over the past 11 years that was bad, and well, the past 10 years that was bad, and we finally did it, and it feels like it's Christmas come early for me this year. You should know that as many times as I've said I wanted out of here, and I just send me to Taiwan or anywhere, but I am thrilled that this team, we finally built something that we are proud of, that we've dedicated ourselves and for a cause this year that paid off in the end. A lot of guys this year, I think, had the attitude they were just another team, and we'd come in, we just barely make it, and if we made the playoffs, war well and good if we didn't. But I think that we had the positive note this year. Everybody was looking for the playoffs, and we kept saying playoffs, Super Bowl, and it became a reality. It started sticking to us mentally. I think this was where we weren't really prepared in the past, where we weren't mentally really set on what we wanted to do, and we finally reached it.
Most of these guys have real good attitudes, and the game didn't really mean that much except for us being at home. And in football, I don't think a home field advantage is really that important. We've played well on the road, beat New England up there, and we beat Pittsburgh up there. I don't think a home field advantage is that big of a factor. I think we can win anywhere.
What was your reaction to making the playoffs? That's the first time for you since coming here as a free agent from down in Alabama.
I tell you, I was real happy because, you go home, sit there for Christmas watching other guys play in the National Football League when you're a National Football League player yourself. And when you have the kind of pride I have, it's very disappointing to be at home watching those other guys on TV going for the big money.
Excited to be back. It's been a few years since I've been in a playoff game. The people here that have stuck with us through our lean years deserve to see the game that they'll see Sunday, because I think we're going to come out with a lot of intensity and a lot of power. And as I said, right now we're playing championship-style defense, and that's what you have to play to be able to win games.
We got beat by Houston in a good game, the first game, and they're coming into our home turf this time. We want to really put it to them because, number one, it's in the playoffs, the first leg of the playoffs, and then number two, it's like a revenge time for us, and we really want to put it to them.
I don't think it's a revenge thing. I think it's, it's more professional ethics. We're trying to get somewhere, and they're trying to get somewhere, and they're in our way, and we're in their way. So it's up to us. It's up to us to move them. We want to be the team that go to Pittsburgh and keep Houston from being the team that go to New England.
Well, we've got to do it. It's, it limits down to one thing. You don't have a choice. If you want to be a winner like you would like to be and going on to play, we've finally got a chance to play in the playoffs. Right now, it would take a less of a man to give up right now. We don't have anybody like that on our team, including the coaches. So I don't think it'll be no problem as far as bouncing back. We had some people a little banged up and stuff, but people assured themselves. I mean, I'm just glad to be in the playoffs, and either way it go, I'm sure that everybody will be giving 110%, and I'll be giving 200%.
They've got very good linebackers and a very smart secondary. They all read pattern very well, but I think with our running attack, as we did against them down here the first time, I think that we can set up play-action type passes and utilize the passing game in that aspect as opposed to dropping back and letting them tee off and come at you. Hopefully we can just get our running game established, and the passing game will kind of take care of itself. They've been very susceptible to the run, and with their linebackers as quick as they are, they're really not as physical as our linebackers are, our interior linebackers, Kiner and Bingham, or our outside linebackers, Washington and Brazil. But I feel we can run the football on them, and it's just going to be a matter of taking our battering ram and shoving it down their throat.
By winning awards, that's what makes you work harder the next year or the next game. Personally, I feel as though that's what it do to myself. And I feel like, that it's a great thing to be able to go out and achieve such rewards as I had, my rookie year. And believe it or not, already, I know next year is going to be a lot better, because I'm going to work a little harder. But, what makes the goals and the awards really, really good is when you can go in like this week, beat Miami, next week somebody else,
Well, I think the key to it is that Earl was a rookie and we had not played against him before, and we thought that the big hit would set the tempo and perhaps intimidate him in a way. As you can tell and as everybody saw, it didn't. So what we have to do this time, I think, is swarm. That's what our defense is known for. The first guy, instead of trying to make that big hit, just get a hold of something. Then your teammates, we have good speed, we have good outside speed. Our teammates will be coming along. They can make the big hit, the second hit, and perhaps knock the ball loose. So that's what we have to do this week.
There are certain things I'm disappointed in myself about that I feel like I can still do a lot better, and that there's blocking, and I want to catch the ball more. Some of my goals I said I reached,
What was the highlight of the 78 season for you as far as the regular season?
I think the whole deal is when I, came here to Houston, and the people that I work with daily, like my teammates and my coaches, they made me feel right at home. And I think that's the whole key of me being able to produce so early. I think that's what's the highlight of it.
This is the same thing here.
Same thing. Now we're a 7. Between a 7 and 7/8. Oops, that's a little large. This would be a good style. That wouldn't be bad.
What's happening on your hat here?
Well, I wore a felt hat down here and it's a little too warm.
What are you going to get?
I'll have to get a straw hat.
So you're not the least bit superstitious about hats or anything?
I don't think that hat has a whole lot to do with the football game.
I think I know what you'd like for Christmas.
Tell me. A win.
That's for sure. Do you think it's going to be a big offensive game the way it was last time, 35-3?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to, it's really hard to say. When two teams are both fired up, it's going to be one or the other, either a wild offensive game or a real good defensive game. I don't think it'll be a 20-6 or something like that. I know what I want.
Look, here's one with blue, a little bit of blue on it.
Yeah, but they don't. So the body of this hat and the body of this hat kind of alike. The hat I want right there.
Why don't you get it then?
It's already creased, and it's not creased right, and they can't change the shape of it.
If you lose your temper and jump up and down on it, it's going to be anyway.
I'm probably right. I have been known to throw them down.
Well,
This hat I want if it's a 7.
It's got 9 million hats.
What size is it? Here.
That is a 7. This would be easy to shape right there.
Yeah, that's what I
Makes you
want.
look about
That one right there.
7.
So you kind of see you wear it sideways like that. You don't hit right straight. Yeah, yeah.
Just a little off to the...
Yeah, and then you push it up. There you go. Can't beat that.
How much does the opposing coach play a part in how you figure a game, particularly with Shula being the third winningest coach in the NFL?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad he can't play. He's bad enough just coaching, because he's by far the best coach in the NFL, I think. And, of course, he plays a big part in what they do. I think Miami has improved a lot since we played them, looking at their film, though. It's going to be a tough chore.
How different are these teams emotionally, do you think?
Not a whole lot. They're both young teams. We have a young team, and the Miami's a young team, and I think they'll both play an emotional ball game. That's why I think that it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be one hell of a high-scoring game or one low-scoring game.
Bob Greasy, after taking the painkiller to quiet down the ribs, didn't complain about his ribs at all, and I thought that there were times where he was throwing the ball pretty good and moving the offense, but we weren't able to make the big connections when we had to make them in order to score points. So at the end of the ball game, I decided to go to Strock, but they controlled the football on us, and we weren't able to get it back until the game was practically over. But again, Bob, what else can you ask of a guy than to do the best that he could? And I don't feel that certainly you'd like a quarterback to work all week long and practice and play, but at this stage of the season, I think Pastorini was in the same boat. Neither one of them practiced during the week, and you just have to line up and do the best that you can during the ball game.
Defensively, we didn't do what we've been doing all year. We didn't take the ball away from the other team. We just didn't have the big play. We played pretty steady, aggressive defense. Everybody was hustling to do the job, and I think it was an effort that we can be proud of, but we didn't come up with the big plays, and so you feel bad defensively. It's just, Tuesday you don't go into camp. The season's over. It's just painful. We disappointed a lot of people out there, too. There's a lot of people that really put a lot of faith in us, and they were excited, and they came here and cheered their hearts out, and I'm just sorry we didn't do it for us and for our coaches and for them.
Can we look at a positive side and say all of the good things that did happen the last 4 or 5 games of the season will carry over? Is it almost impossible to do?
It's like, giving thanks for the summer and the hurricane. It's just kind of hard to do. It's hard to think of the positive things at this point because no matter how, and you know me, I'd try to be as positive as I can, but right now there's nothing to be positive about. We got beat and the season's over. There's nothing really to smile about this time, and we can start remembering some of the positive things in July, and we need to put things back together.
Well, it ends so quickly, and I don't think I was emotionally prepared for it to end this quick. I fully expected that we'd win the football game today, and now it's all over the whole season, not just this football game. So it's difficult for me to comprehend.
You finished your rookie season. You made the ball club. A lot of hoopla around Jimmy Cefalo before you got here. What are your thoughts? Can you gather them at this point in time and talk about it?
Well, anytime you're associated with a club like the Miami Dolphins, it's a great experience, and I feel a little disappointed that I didn't contribute more than I could have, not only today, because I certainly could have, but over through the entire season. But I guess for any rookie who's not used to sitting on the bench, that's going to happen.
The first couple of possessions saw the defense in command as the sloppy, rainy conditions forced both teams into conservative offenses. Then a break, and it went in the Eagles' favor. After fielding a Mike Michel punt, Billy Rickman headed upfield, but after being hit, he fumbled, and the Eagles recovered, setting up a 1st and 10 at the Falcons' 13. 3 plays later, on 3rd and 10, Ron Jaworski hit Harold Carmichael on a quick slant-in for the game's first points. Michel came on to try the extra point, but the former Dolphins' attempt was no good, and as it so often does, that missed PAT would come back to haunt the Eagles. The score remained 6-0 until the 3rd quarter when Philadelphia began driving. This 27-yard pass from Jaworski to Charlie Smith set up a 1st and goal at the 2. 3 plays later, Wilbert Montgomery went over from the 1, and the Eagles had a 13-0 lead. Now, Philadelphia remained in command until the final 5 minutes, and as they have all year, that's when the Falcons came to life. Steve Barkowski's 19-yard touchdown pass to Jim Mitchell cut the lead to just 6, 13-7. The Falcons' defense quickly got the ball back for Barkowski and company, and they responded, scoring 6 plays later with 1:39 remaining as number 10 hit Wallace Francis on a 37-yard touchdown pass. But it wasn't over yet. The Eagles moved into field goal position and had a chance to win it, but Mike Michel's 34-yard attempt with 13 seconds left sailed wide to the right. So the Falcons capture it 14-13, and now will head to Dallas to meet the Cowboys next Saturday. Sunday, the Rams will entertain the Vikings.